Hello, everybody in the audience and online. I'd like to welcome you to the July Police Accountability Board meeting, Thursday, July 18th. We'll start off with introductions.
Good evening, Dr. Leslie Meyer-Small, Interim Executive Director.
Good evening, Arlene Brown. I am a representative of the Alliance, Vice Chair, and delighted that you all took the time to come and spend with us to learn, encourage us, and together we're going to grow in Rochester.
Everything that my Vice Chair said, and also Larry Knox, Board Chair, and Northeast Council Rep.
Good evening, William Clark. I'm the mayor's appointee to the board.
Hello, Yvonne Wilson, and I am the Northwest Council seat
South.
or North-South. Represent the community, huh?
There you go.
I'm Dora Settle, and I'm the Northwest seat representative. Council representative.
Mary Wambach, I'm an Alliance appointee.
Thank you. Before we get into the approval of the meeting minutes, we are going to have our election for chair and vice chair. Our current terms are up for myself and for Ms. Brown. Ms. Brown is not running for re-election as vice chair, so I'm going to turn the meeting over to her so we can have nominations and election for chair.
Thank you so much, Larry. And it is with great pleasure that I nominate Larry Knox to be chair of our board. He has served in this position with great gusto and honor, knowledge, and we need him in the forefront to continue the work. Can I get a second?
Second.
All right, it is moved and properly second. Are there any questions, concerns, or conversations?
Any other nominations?
Any other nominations? Nobody's fighting.
You're such a good guy.
With all hearts and minds clear, I would now like to take the vote for Larry Knox to be chairman of the community. And show of hands, please. All right, got it. Are there any opposers? That being said, Larry, you are now officially the chairman. One more again. And you can take over the meeting.
Thank you, everybody. I'll close out the election for chair. I pass it back to me, so I will run the rest of the meeting. Thank you. I wasn't expecting to be chair when I first joined the board a couple of years ago, but I am glad to run for re-election again. And we've done a lot of good work over the last couple of years. Even since the beginning of the board being formed, there's been a lot of good work that has happened. And I want to take a part and
I'll yell at him.
I do want to take a leadership role again and continue helping get us there with our new executive director and all of our new staff and our existing staff that have been here since the beginning and afterwards. So again, thank you to my fellow board members. And I'd like to move on to the election for vice chair.
I had the honor of nominating one of our original board members, Dora Settle, as the vice chair of the board of directors. She has been stable throughout this organization, and I look forward to her continued great work.
I second the nomination.
Any other nominations? All in favor of Rabbi Settle serving as our vice chair? All opposed? And it's unanimous again. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, long speech for us.
So, just very quickly, it's my last year on the board, so I'm excited to really make sure that I don't know, I feel personally responsible to lead the agency. The agency's in great hands, but to make sure that I can go out really feeling like this has happened and we're giving the citizens and the residents of the city what they voted for, what they want, and that we really are caring for our mission. So I'm very excited to be able to work on one more level before I go. So thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome to the vice chair position. Yes, Mayor.
I just want to thank Arlene because it was very important to the board, but to me, your knowledge and experience of protocol, human relations, you're very, very benefited me so much.
Here, here.
I think I said in our text and email that when people were talking about the nominations, but Arlene has been a rock. Big shoes to fill, but Arlene has really helped me out a lot as my vice chair, picking up when I couldn't, reminding me often of things that I need to follow up on up until last night. And I just want to appreciate that. I know you'll do the same, Rabbi Settle.
Oh, no, I just wanted to ask, there, of both of you all, right? I know, Larry, I've seen your work. Arlene, I appreciate your work, but you actually would call people to try to give them information they didn't have. But my question is to Brooke, okay? You've been on the board for a long time, and I believe that you know a lot. But my question is, basically, are you going to be available, okay, the way that Arlene was, to answer some of the questions of the people who are new on the board? Because we still need to have some type of guidance, and we also need some training. And she actually did call me up a couple of times, and she gave me some pertinent advice. That is basically one of my expectations, I want to say, of the next vice chair. So is that going to be
I'm
something
going
that
to
you're going
defer
to
to
do?
Mary so she can know what I'm saying.
Okay.
But my answer is absolutely. And I feel very strongly that anything that I'm part of, the whole board will and should know about. So in terms of, when we're meeting or having conversations, but also in the sense that, something that I'm very aware of having, started when the PAB started, is that there really are still some sort of foundational trainings and information that we all need as a board. And I'm very committed to making sure that happens. Does that help? Does that answer your question? And yes,
I did
mean,
use the word individual. You used the board. What I'm saying, but Arlene actually did individually coach me on certain things. So I guess what I'm saying is whenever you become chair or even board members, a question is put to you, right? Are you going to be able to answer the question without being, I want to say, quote unquote, offended? That's all. So that's what I'm trying to do.
absolutely. I hope that those who know me know I don't offend easily. And if I do, I let you know when we're done with it. So, I certainly see my role, as being connected to everybody on the board, for sure.
Mary?
I just realized I don't know who is watching us from online, but I want to mention and apologize that there was an oversight and I asked eligibles for that set up for tonight. So I apologize to all of them. And I hope that you'll be with us next month.
Yes. Our apologies.
Yep, sorry, yeah, we apologize for that oversight. There's captioning available, but that is not as good, and we definitely are required to have, should have had interpreters for tonight.
I thank Yvonne for that question. I also would like to mention that I've stepped down from chair, but I ain't dead. I will still be calling, I will still be encouraging, you will still hear from me, and helping, yeah, whether you want to or not, helping us move forward. We have now gone to the next level with this, and we have reached a point of great excitement and expectation, and we are all in this together. Yeah, it's it.
Yeah, perfect timing. Perfect
Yeah,
timing. All right, that closes us out for elections for chair and vice chair until next year. We'll move on to our regular board meeting agenda with the approval of the meeting minutes. But before I say that, I did want to say Reverend Patterson and Daniel, board member Cadet, weren't able to make it tonight, but they are still, current board members. All right, so approval of minutes, they were emailed out on the 13th and 11th of our June 6th meeting. Any additions or corrections?
I just needed a clarification. On page 6, the last bullet from, it's not the last, second to last bullet from the bottom. When I asked the question, I really wanted to know who negotiated on behalf of the city with the police locals club, because my concern was it appeared that every year we lose more and more control. And I was really looking for a name as to, is that corporate counsel or whoever. But there is a concern there that, we're losing more and more ability to even implement the matrix.
Page 6. So
Page 6, second to last bullet. Yes.
So that should be changed to the board wants to know who negotiates on behalf of the city.
Yeah. Because if you recall, the word minor was taken out of the last negotiation, and there was a broader implication as to
What
what
was
is coming.
taken outside in here?
Minor incidents that are used for
Oh,
command.
right.
All right, so noted. Any other additions, subtractions, corrections?
He asked the question, right? So what's the answer?
Well, we're just going to modify the minutes, so there'll still be the follow-up from staff. Just making sure that proper question is asked.
Actually, do you know the answer? Because I just asked it the other day. It's Corporation Counsel. They sit at the table. They sat at the table.
Okay.
Did you want me to repeat it for Mary? Oh, okay.
All right. Okay, any other things for the minutes? All in favor of approving the minutes?
As amended, right?
As amended, as amended, thank you. That's unanimous. Thank you, everybody. All right, we'll get on to the rest of the agenda. The minutes will go up online within a few days. All right, so usually you're used to seeing somebody else sitting in this spot. And after a long, great run, and still helping us out as needed, but our former interim executive director, Sherry Walker-Ford, has moved on. And we do have our current and soon to be full-time and permanent, but as for another few days, our interim executive director, Dr. Leslie Myers. I'm really happy that she's here. I want to say a lot, but I do want to get us out so we can enjoy this day. We had a press conference and a community event, which I'm sure you'll talk about, where a lot of us spoke. But I do want to, for the staff report and your own introduction, Dr. Leslie Myers.
Great, thank you. It really is a pleasure to be here. And I have to say that I have hit the ground running full speed ahead. So I'll give you just a few updates and to say a few thank yous. So first and foremost, what was really important to me was to make those connections and to build and establish relationships. So I'm looking at the board, and over the past 2 weeks, I've already met with 6 of the police accountability board members just to establish rapport, to make connections, to talk about what's the best way for us to communicate, etc. So those meetings have gone really well, and I'm looking forward to having my final set of meetings. Additionally, I've been engaging with staff, and so that is formal with one-on-ones or in group settings. I had an all-staff meeting actually in this room that I felt was very productive and very positive. Today, I actually brought in baked goods and I made a quiche for staff. So, just trying to connect and establish relationships that way and for them to get to know me and me to get to know them. That I feel has been going well. Additionally, obviously, we are a component of the city of Rochester. So I've been working with the different departments, human resources, I've been working with the law department, IT, and other areas. So as I start to establish my sea legs and get more comfortable, I'm just trying to make sure I have the right information to make the right decisions as we continue to move forward and I move forward in this role. So the transition has, I feel, been pretty smooth. I'm doing a lot of reading and learning. And again, I just appreciate the board and their support in helping me in this transition. But I'm very energized and certainly excited to be here. Additionally, last week was very busy. So on Thursday was the confirmation hearing, and it was really nice to be supported, certainly by the board, my family, my staff. And I thank City Council for asking me very thoughtful questions. So I had that process, and the next morning at 10, right in this room, we engaged with the media, and I felt that engagement was very positive, and had an opportunity to speak a little bit about the vision and how we plan to move forward, and just some initial thoughts about challenges. So that I thought went well. And then a few hours later at 6, we had a community meet and greet, and we had a nice showing of individuals from different aspects of our community. We had a commissioner here from the city of Rochester. And again, they asked very thoughtful questions, and we actually collected, they had a homework assignment, and we asked for, what are you committed to do? Because we cannot do this work alone. And so I'll be working with public affairs and community engagement, and we'll turn that information back around, get that out to the board, get that back out to the community as we move forward. So that was very exciting. I think the last thing that I'll share from an update from me is that coming into the agency, I noted that we didn't have a strategic plan. And as we know, a strategic plan helps to provide the foundation and helps to force your direction as you're journeying to achieve your mission, your vision. We have pillars, values, etc. And so I'm working on finalizing a scope of work that will be turned in, so that in turn can create an RFP or a request for proposal. And the goal is to hopefully have a viable strategic plan by the end of 2024. Very ambitious, but it's really, really important that we have a strategic plan. So I will be sending information to the board to get your feedback, to see what are you looking for, what are some things that are important. I have drafted a little bit of what I'm interested in, what I think is important, but certainly your feedback is critical, so that will be happening as we move forward. That is my executive director update in a nutshell. Moving on to the nuts and bolts of our agency, I'll start with operations.
May I ask a
Oh,
question before you
sure.
move on?
Yes.
So when you say to prepare an RFP, I guess who's making a proposal?
So we have to, that's our process that we have to use, we have to put that, so then folks will send proposals in for us to review. We have to have
So we're gonna hire someone to prepare the strategic plan, is that what you're saying?
we're gonna get some consultant support, yes.
Got it, okay.
Yes.
That wasn't clear
I'm sorry,
from what I
yes.
said. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. So operations, we have some vacant positions in operations. So we've completed interviews for language access coordinator, which is a part-time position. And then we also will be conducting webmaster interviews next week. That's a part-time position. So we're becoming more robust as we move forward. We have a meeting scheduled with City Council to discuss charter mandated trainings because that is critical. So as I continue to get acclimated to all of the aspects of the charter, that mandated training is important. So we want to make sure that we know what we can rely on from the city, what we need to provide. And then the goal, correct me if I'm wrong, I think, Ben, it's about 2 weeks of training, correct, Ben?
But
It adds up.
we're all stepped together.
Right. So that's not wise for us to do that in all 2 weeks. That pulls all of us, because that's all of the staff, not just leadership or not just certain individuals. So we will stagger it, hitting our deadlines, but we'll stagger that 2 weeks out across a longer period of time. We have an operations and training specialist position that will be posted by the end of the month. So there's a third position that is in operations. So those are my updates.
And that position was the one the job description was changed?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
That's the new
So
prescription.
it's training / operations to make sure we have backfill in operations. Am I good? Is my pace okay? Okay, good.
Okay, I got a question about the training / operation
Position?
position.
Okay.
Okay, so is this person gonna be trained first on how our operation works? Or are they, because how are they gonna train, this is me, us on what we need to do if they're not already trained on the operations and the charter and all that kind of stuff?
So this individual wouldn't necessarily train the board. This is to oversee all of the trainings and to make sure, to coordinate it, to ensure that it happens. So they're not necessarily the person who trains. I'll be doing some training, other staff will be doing training, but that's not the focus of this position.
Okay.
This is to coordinate and also to make sure we have a backfill for operations, right? And we saw that a little bit tonight with not having, unfortunately, the interpreter, which again, I apologize for.
And
Okay.
this position, I mean, that would help working with NACO and getting board trainings
Yes,
that we need and just being that coordinator, because there's a lot of trainings that we need to do as a board.
Right,
Not as many as the staff, but we still have. our own
yes.
things.
And so that's an important component as well. Thank you for bringing that up. The board has certain trainings and requirements that they need to fulfill. So yes, this individual would be making sure that they connect with NACO and that could, to ensure that we fulfill that expectation.
Well, one other thing, we all took the training with the city. And as it turned out, a lot of the sessions that we participated in really weren't relevant for the work that we do because we're not city employees.
New hire training.
New hire training. So I would ask you to, even before this person comes on board,
Mm-hmm.
look into whether they have adjusted, they said they were going to, adjusted the training, onboard training for board members. Because,
Oh, okay.
and not treat board members as new hires and have us take a lot of things that were
Mhm.
really not relevant.
Thank you for that.
And thank you for bringing that up, because I got it.
So case management, and I've had the opportunity to see a little bit of how that works, and actually had someone that came in and wanted to report an incident of alleged misconduct, but they're really, really busy. And I'm grateful Dolores is here. And I'll turn it over to her in just a minute because she has a new employee announcement. But they've received 14 cases. 2 cases have been closed. The board has closed 5 cases. And they're just a really powerful, compassionate team who interface directly with with the community and the public. Dolores, I wasn't sure if there was anything else that you wanted to say, and I also know that you wanted to make an introduction. Okay.
I just wanted to announce that I hired for case management.
Could you speak up? I'm sorry.
I hired first.
Why don't you come forward? Come forward.
Yeah. Outdoor voice.
Jason had to teach you how to project.
But he can project.
Opening, the last opening for the case management team, and I wanted to hire them pretty quickly. So I hired Jason Monroe. He started June 17th. So now we're fully staffed in case management.
Welcome.
Or Jason.
Welcome, Jason.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on to investigations, it's important to share that we have begun sending statement requests and final reports to officers directly. We discovered
I'm
that
sorry, statement requests and what else?
final reports to the officers directly. We discovered that they were not being provided in providing our correspondence to the officers individually. And so that is happening. That just started within the past couple of days.
I had a question.
Yes.
Are we gonna backfill and send it to ones that didn't get it previously, or just send it to them going forward?
Yes. Not all.
Thanks.
Mhm.
And thank
But
you
the
for
cases
that.
that are closed, we're not sending to, correct? The ones that the board has come up with final determination.
The officers who are involved in those cases are aware of the
I'm sorry, I missed Bill's question.
When we indicated we're sending the request directly to the officers, my question was, are we sending it to officers where the cases have already been closed?
Oh, no.
Additionally, thank you, Ben. Staff were trained on the basics of internal affairs earlier, and I sat in on a little bit of that. The training was conducted by a national law enforcement expert who has run an internal investigations department. Staff will train at the end of the month with a national law enforcement expert on investigating officer-involved shootings. So that's really a wonderful, wonderful training, and I'm glad that we have the opportunity for staff to participate in that.
A question on that.
Sure.
When you say staff, that's not included in the board, right?
Correct.
Okay. So my question is, if all the staff are getting trained on all these things, right? Then how can the board make a, what am I trying? Knowledgeable, and when we check the cases that they do. So I guess my suggestion is that the board also have some type of training or background training on that, so we will actually be trained to know exactly what we're looking for and how things are going.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a possibility?
I think we wouldn't get the same training that the staff got. That's more intense, but the trainings that NAPO gives, and There are some we've done in the past, we could do more of, they do
They
touch,
touch on that.
and they do go over all those things just to a lesser degree. Because we're reviewing the work product of people that have had the full training, and our knowledge is enough to touch on that. But we want to get the exact same training to staff.
Okay, I'm sorry, I beg to differ.
Okay.
That's why I'm bringing this up, because I really do believe in order for me to critique somebody else's work, I really need the same type of training and understanding that they have, so I'll know what I'm looking for. That's.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the one thing I would say is, particularly for things like the internal affairs process and stuff, it does seem that it would make sense to let the board know about those trainings for those of us who might be able to attend them, right? Even, you know, if not everybody can, at least some of us can, and also, you know, I guess to me, there's a difference between, we don't have to be trained in how to do all investigations, but I think we do need to know how internal affairs works. So maybe there's a way in terms of looking at upcoming trainings that we can think about which ones the board, you know, are more important for the board and which ones might not be.
That would be
All of
helpful
them-
in your decision-making and
Right.
reviews.
But I
Okay.
think all of them, you know, should be open to the board, and we should know what they are.
All trainings should be open to the board?
Pretty much. I mean, I don't know why not.
I would say, I mean, I think there's mandated, well, this is something we should leverage on your training director to help with this.
Okay,
There are
yes.
mandated trainings that we have to do, you
Right.
know, by the charter that we should have to do as a board, and that a lot of that,
Mhm.
and training that we've already done before that new board members haven't had a chance to get to. I just be worried about mandating or attending the same trainings as staff.
I'm not
Yeah,
mandating.
no, I know you're not, but I think it's the opportunity, I think to, you know, to sit on and stuff, I think it's good.
Yeah.
But I think there is, especially if the staff is doing an all-day training, and that's geared towards an all-day thing, and it's board member that's coming only for an hour or two of that, might be do us a service as opposed to one that's just geared towards board members. Where you just might come in and get a part of training.
That's not what I said.
Okay.
Ben, would you just make a note? You're united. Thank you.
Yeah. And I mean, because the other issue, to me, it's like, it's not a bad thing if we want to know more.
Yeah, no, you're-
And there's no reason why we shouldn't, you know, in that sense, if we have a capacity, learn, you know, as much as possible.
Mary?
We had a pretty comprehensive online training from not only that I'm saying
Yeah, Jason.
about 2 months ago.
A little bit
It
longer,
was-
yeah.
Well, I thought it was quite comprehensive. The elements of investigation, how they're worked out, the things that can cause problems.
I agree.
And thank you, Mary, for reminding us that the NACO trainings are available. And there are also videos and various things that we have access to, that when we have the time to actually go and look these up online on our own time, it's all on our own time.
We are volunteers.
So that, yes, yes, so that we are better trained to do the job that we're asked to do. Yes, ma'am.
This may seem like a minor thing, I just don't want to forget. Proposed a day. Excuse me, a day for all of us to get together and have like a picnic or something. And I have it in my, but I can't remember the date.
Right, so we're waiting, we're gonna have an update on our 9th board member. So the thought is, we hope that that will be happening soon enough that we can wait and include them. So, oh, sorry. I'll type it out, okay?
And this just goes to show that communication is the key. Whether it's board and staff, or community.
I just wanted to make sure that Leslie was aware of that.
Yes.
Thank you.
But I want to touch on something that Arlene indicated. Instead of looking it up, you know, because I'm relatively new to NACO training also,
Okay,
and I did go through the comprehensive training.
uh-huh,
But if there was a list of relevant trainings for board members that we all
Mhm.
had,
okay,
then we don't have to do the research to find out where to go to find what we need to know.
okay.
But I'm going to suggest that we can do that. You don't have to. In other words, there's no reason why the board members can't be organizing that for ourselves.
But most of us are relatively new, so we
Right,
don't
so
know
we
where
can
to go to
consult
do
staff, but I don't want to hand down another job that I think, I mean,
But a
so,
list is a list. I mean, give me a list and I'll do the work.
okay.
Okay?
Well, thank you, Drew, for
I'll
volunteering.
volunteer.
Thank you, Drew, for volunteering to make the list and
I will
make sure.
consult with the staff, but I'm happy to take responsibility for the
There we
list.
go.
And make sure it's ASAP.
But, yes, and it's good, we need the list,
Right.
you can do it. Done.
And Tina Barr, the training director for NACO, I think, has already been working with us on other things.
Okay. And then the last area that I'm going to provide an update is public affairs and community engagement. So again, that was the division that collaborated with the Alliance to hold the meet and greet last week. They are also working with the Meliora Research Group. They're working on developing an annual survey for PAB. They are launching a right to know grassroots campaign based on the policy that has been drafted, and they're just continuing to develop partnerships. And we're strengthening even our internal partnerships within the city, so with like Pathways to Peace, et cetera. Communications specific updates. The newsletter is out, so please check your email for the latest edition. We have because of our community engagement team, our mailing list signups have increased by 40%, so that is encouraging and positive. We are working on developing an upcoming communications campaign that's going to focus on our Latinx community. So more details will follow, that we've identified that that's a gap area. And
Can you hold on for one
I
second?
can,
I actually erased a section and I want to get it back.
okay, no worries.
That's why I tried to, okay, never mind. Somehow, if I put in an exclamation mark, the line disappears.
Is your number locked
Yeah.
up?
All right. So the last thing you said was, oh, reaching out to the Hispanic community.
Yes.
Okay,
So community engagement. We participated in the July Rock the Block event. We participated and there's additional, there's actually a Pride event this weekend, the parade. So we are participating. I have a meeting that I'm going to run from to March and then go back, so I'll be there. We received over 80 resumes for the community engagement specialist openings. So interviews will be taking place very shortly.
That is great.
So we expect to have the roles filled by September.
How many roles will be filled?
2.
Okay, 2 positions.
And then again with outreach, walk the block, Pathways to Peace, they're holding barbecues. I saw the email. I said, let's get connected to that. And then also quadrant-based outreach. So we're just getting out there. Again, I've said the weather has been so cooperative. So we're taking advantage of that this summer. And then we continue to conduct outreach twice a month at La Marqueta and weekly outreach at the various public libraries, art centers, etc. So we're busy. That concludes my report.
I have one note about outreach is that it would be, I think it'd be really helpful maybe at some point to just have a meeting with some of the outreach folks on the board, or to have some way of, if we have advance enough notice, right? I think the board should, as much as we can, be present at these
Yes.
events.
Mhm.
And like, I said I would help with the table at the Pride Fest this week, and I was at the picnic, and, but that's because I was there anyway, if you know what I mean, and I think
Sure.
it would be good to think about it ahead of time. And the other thing that we had talked about early on, which I would love to see happen, for those of us who have council seats, to be having sort of district meetings or meet and greets or some kind of events where we're, connecting to our part of the city and our part of the community.
That sounds good.
Mhm.
But with that, you need our council people there, we just gotta be representing the, PAB board.
Well, I would love it if our council members would
But I'm
be
saying,
there,
but if not, is that necessary or no?
but they should be asked. Yeah,
No, I understand
Yeah.
that, but if they
Yeah.
said that they're not available, we can still
sure.
continue. Okay, that's the question.
And there's wording in the charter about doing district meetings
Mhm.
as a board, so that would, yeah, we definitely should do that.
Thank you. That concludes my report.
All right, any other questions? All right. Thank you, Dr. Myers. Good job. Ready?
So excited to have you here.
You're welcome.
And that's with not even having a whole month or even 3 weeks. Appreciate
I
the depth.
also want to say to the community that about Sherry,
Uh-huh.
okay, Sherry, I think she did what she was supposed to do, what was needed to do. So we thank you, Sherry,
Thank you for saying, I meant to say that.
for what you did, for what was it, a year and a half? Right?
Yeah.
It was supposed to have been a short time,
Yeah.
but I think you did a great job, and welcome,
Thank you.
Dr. Leslie Myers Small. And thank you for adapting to all of our personalities. There's a whole bunch.
All
Okay? All right.
All good.
She's had experience with that.
Just a little.
Oh, yeah. But Yvonne kind of took some of my thunder, but yeah, onto the chair's report, I did want to, again, thank Sherry, walking forward for all her work. We did ask her to help out for a few months, and that turned into a year and a half, but she really helped get us to this point where Dr. Myers was able to take us in a much stronger place than we were in the past. So, as I mentioned earlier, Sherry's gonna be around to help out as needed, but
Oh, she is gonna be.
yeah,
Yes.
yep, she's a phone call away, and I'm sure.
And Sherry answered the phone.
Yeah.
She does.
So, as Roy mentioned, for East District seat update, there were a series of interviews that happened over the past month for the East District Council seat. The most interviews that happened, I think, since there's been an opening. I heard there were a lot of good candidates from a couple of different council members, and they narrowed it down to, I know there's at least 2 finalists. And I believe council is going to be sending one of those up, hoping next week at next week's council meeting. If not, then next month, but my assumption from what I heard, I want to get ahead of council, is they had narrowed it down to one candidate that they were leaning towards approving. If not, hopefully the other candidate or 2 that were also really good, we get an ask. But my understanding from talking to the council president and other council members is that we should have a new district council member for the board, a new district council appointee in the East District seat for our board, and hopefully we'll be able to start next month. We'll be at our board meeting next month, and it'll get voted on this month.
Okay, is this person gonna be, fluent in Spanish?
I don't know. There's East District seat, and that's all I
No, I'm
know.
just asking the question, because that's like a need. Okay, if we're gonna try to get, engaged in community with the, the Latin speaking people, we do need somebody to speak the language.
That would be helpful as a board member. I agree. I don't know who was chosen.
Oh, I'm just throwing it out to the city council people, so, they know. Okay, that's all.
Again, those positions filled, bilingual positions filled will help on staff, but we get to have that on the board too. I agree. But this will be the first time in over a year that we will be fully have all 9 board members.
More than a year.
Yeah, a lot more than a year. Maybe 2 years. And we always seem to have an opening. Yes, I'm really, really excited about that, being fully operational. And as we improve our board work, as you saw earlier about what we're going to get as a board, that new board member coming in, they will have much smoother start than all of us had as board members, learning from our times as onboarding to the board. We already did elections for board chair and vice chair. So I do want to talk before we get to the committee reports about the work that the people expect us to do. One thing that came up in, the press conference and in our the conversations with council we've been having is, and something we've constantly talked about here, is what we're not getting, what the staff is not getting to completely be able to do their job. Dr. Myers has just started, so she's going to we have to give her the time as a board to go through, the learning process of what the barriers have been. She was very clear about in the interview and then in the press conference and at the hearing at City Council about working in partnership with the government, the city government, and with RPD and other community allies and Locust Club to try to move through some of those barriers that we've had. But we've been going through them for my 2 years on the board and George's whole time on the board. There's been some resolve to some of them, but not enough, I think, to what the people would want in the community, which us having enough access to data, to resources, and most importantly, to information that helps us decide if there is a problem with a complaint, that we're able to fully look at it and make a decision. For missing data, for missing information, and for missing conversations, we as a board aren't able to fully review information because the staff was not able to get it to us. That does a disservice to the person doing the complaint and the officer the complaint is about. Also for the policy work that our policy team does, if they're not fully able to get information, or if their information they're given is dictated by the body they have oversight over, then that's not complete oversight. They can't give full and fair recommendations. So we've been patient, I think, as a board. I know something we'll talk about in an executive session, what we'll have to look at if those things aren't resolved in a more timely manner. Sherry worked on that for 1.5 years while she was here. I don't want Dr. Myers to have to work on 1.5 years of working through those issues. And I know the staff feels the same way, especially because we built a lot of work, especially over the past 1.5 years of trying to get through cases and running into those barriers of information as a fully working board and staff. We were building up to that in the past. So we hear people when they are asked about that issue, and we've heard it, and it's definitely not on the back burner at all. And I appreciate Dr. Myers taking a fresh look and try to help us get through those issues. And working with City Council, Corporation Council, the administration. I'm hoping we can do that with partners. Also, I will say that the importance of our work, I think we mentioned at the last meeting, the NACO conference, where we'll be doing a presentation with the Albany and New York City accountability boards. We have staff here that will be working on that. We are in a unique position in New York State that we're not under attack as much as other parts of the country.